Good morning and welcome to BS with Becca. It's not what you're thinking. This morning, BS is be surprised. I've been really surprised by something I've just discovered, and I'm hoping you'll be just as surprised as I am. Now, if you were like me in high school, you were required to read a book called Lord of the Flies. And it was a horribly depressing book. It may have been good from a literary standpoint, but it was so depressing because it was a story about a group of boys stranded on a desert island who then end up basically devolving into this horrible warfare and, killing each other off, or what I don't even want to remember it. So I'm not going to go there. But the wonderful news that I want you to be surprised about is that, in fact, this really did happen in a real life story. It was 6 boys from the nation of Tonga. In the year 1965, they were schoolboys, ages 13 to 16. Just on a lark, they they were bored and they wanted to go out into the sea. They thought they'd go fishing or something fun. Well, they got caught up in a bad storm, carried far from their island, and were missing for 16 months. They actually landed on an island called Ata, A-T-A, which was not a beautiful deserted island like this one. It was actually just rocky cliffs, and there was no source of water. But the incredible thing about their experience was, for those 16 months they were trapped there, they actually cooperated. They figured out how to work together. These were 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old boys. Those of you who are parents of that age group or have been, how often did you get them to cooperate? They rose to the occasion. It is beautiful. They did some really cool things, like they realized that once they made a fire, they couldn't let it go out because they didn't have any matches. So for those 16 months they guarded that fire, they took turns to make sure that nobody ever let the fire go out. There was no water on the island. They broke coconuts in half and they caught rainfall and were able to drink it that way. They found other fascinating ways. They grew, they had a garden. So they totally, in this moment of crisis, cooperated with each other. And so then what happened was, how they got discovered was, there was a man named Peter Walker. His father was one of the wealthiest Australians and had, I guess, given the son a boat. And he was out on his boat and he noticed on this very rocky island there seemed to be a fire. And so he stopped at it to see what it was and discovered these boys and saved their lives. And so now the boys are now 70, 80 years old. And the man, Pete Walker, who found them, is 90, still remembers. They get together in reunions and celebrate how they survived. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. And so now there's a man, and I want to get this right. So his name is Rutger Bregman. And what Rutger says, he's the one who happened to discover this story. And he says that, in other words, the very negativity that we find in Lord of the Flies, and we've always just assumed, oh yeah, that's the way that human beings are. It actually isn't true, that in a moment of crisis, we know how to cooperate. So this man, Rutger Bregman, and he's written a book about it called Humankind. And the purpose of his book is to give us hope. His quote is, "Our secret superpower is our ability to cooperate." He actually believes that as human beings, we do know how to cooperate. And when it comes to crisis, we can and we will. And so there is hope for us, and I love thinking of this, that we as human beings have a superpower to cooperate in the worst of situations. And so that's what I want you to be surprised about today. That's my BS for you. Be surprised. Let this world surprise you. It's much better than what we sometimes read in books. So thanks for joining me today. I'll see you on the next episode of BS with Becca. And in the meantime, remember to be surprised.